Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I actually do have somewhat of a script that I'm going to be kind of reading off of, and then I'll kind of go on my own little tangent as always. This is going to probably be a subject matter that will be referenced to later in another video. Not on purpose, but by accident. I was kind of going over something in one of the longer format videos, and it just so happened I felt like it would be a good subject to kind of do on its own. So at some point in time, you'll probably see like a 20-minute video, probably, I don't know, give or take, explaining this similar subject, but actually in drawing form. But yeah, so I'm going to be talking about drawing from imagination and what I think drawing from imagination means. You will hear me pause from time to time to drink some water, so just a heads up. So when it comes to, and I think this is one of the most, probably some of the most popular subjects that artists or people who are learning to draw end up searching up on YouTube or search engines, stuff like that, is one, drawing from imagination, and two, building a visual library. I think these are a lot of things that people talk about but don't really explain, or you kind of have to either read between the lines or find someone who breaks it down in a way that you can understand. But this kind of actually took me, I was doing something, it kind of hit me really hard, like the understanding of it. So, but pretty much, I think drawing from imagination and building a visual library are pretty much two sides of the same coin. When it comes to building a visual library, I think building a visual library is, I feel, not only about practicing to draw a particular subject matter, but also being able to understand how to build that subject matter or break down that subject matter into basic shapes or forms, which will then allow you to or help you build / draw that subject in different angles convincingly. Hopefully that made sense. Let me see if I can reword this. Building your visual library or understanding a subject matter is being able to take a subject, and we'll say, I don't want to use the, I mean, I guess for artists, I mean, humans are like a lot of the main subject matters, right? Breaking the human body down into basic forms, but I don't think the human figure is kind of complex, right? Let me see. We'll say a ice cream cone. Ice cream. We'll say ice cream and an ice cream cone, right? So you've got, trying to think of, yeah, we'll do the ice cream and an ice cream cone. It's two basic forms. So we'll say ice cream cone, right, with ice cream, with a scoop of ice cream, or maybe 3 scoops of ice cream. We'll do 3 scoops, right? So if I wanted to understand this subject matter, right, I need to break this image or this subject down into 3 or into basic shapes. So one of the shapes would be a cone. That would be the form, a cone, for the actual cone of the ice cream cone. And then for the ice cream, the scoops of ice cream, I would draw those as spheres. Now, depending on how I rearrange those spheres, or maybe or the size of those spheres, will indicate the size of that scoop of ice cream. And then once I've understood how this cone with ice cream in it is put together, to make it is what it is, because it wouldn't be an ice cream cone with ice cream in it if I put the 3 scoops, quote unquote scoops of ice cream, underneath or at the tip of the cone, right? It wouldn't. It would just be. It would look like maybe you spilled ice cream out, right? So we're looking specifically to draw an ice cream cone with ice cream inside of it, right? So once I understand that I can draw this cone and draw 3 spheres within it, or arrange them in a way that would indicate that this is ice cream, right? These 3 cones, or these 3 cylinders, then if I know how to draw a sphere, from quote unquote different angle spheres, and it's a circle. So from any angle, it's just going to be a circle. And then if you know how to draw a cone from different angles in perspective, then it's a lot easier to be able to use that to create a cone with ice cream in it from different angles, whether that be from an upside down view, whether that be from a tilted view, any type of weird high perspective, low perspective angles. You can do that because you've already know the basic forms that you need to draw that equate to an ice cream cone with ice cream in it. Same thing with, we'll say so yeah, I'll leave it at that, right? Hopefully that makes sense. And so that's how, being able to draw the convincingly. So from drawing from imagination, I think, is being able to recall that information while possibly combining it with other subjects that you've learned about or understand from building your visual library without the use of reference. So once again, this took a long time for me to really understand that being able to draw something from my mind or imagination means that I actually have to, and I think this is where I think a lot of people don't really go into, at least not that I've really seen or heard, and it might just be, maybe I missed, happen to miss it, but I don't see too many people talk about it, or maybe it didn't comprehend for me at that time. But the actual understanding of that thing, the actual breaking it down and understanding what makes up that particular thing. And for example, I'll say this, right? Because understanding means studying, and you can of course take, go to the extremes of studying, but I think studying it to where you have a comfortable grasp on a particular thing when it comes to learning how to draw something. An example would be, for example, if someone told you to draw a sea wasp with the combination of a lion and you didn't know what a sea wasp was, or slash was what it looked like, you would never be able to draw that from imagination because you don't know what it looks like. And the same thing for the lion. I think for the most part, a lot of people have a general idea of what a lion looks like, the male and the female. They know that they are large cats. They walk on all fours. They have some type of little bushy tail at the end. They know they have short fur. They know that they can be either light tan to dark tan fur. They have short fur. If they haven't lost anything in any type of battle or fight or anything like that, or hunting, they have 2 ears, they have 2 eyes, they have incisors for teeth, they have a nose, things like that, right? If it's a male, they know they have a mane. I think there's been a few cases where maybe there's been a female with a hint of mane, or they have a mane, but it's not as full as a male, like a male lion, I think. I'm not quite sure. But you know that a male will have a mane compared to the female. But if you know, that's the general things. But I mean, that can describe other cats, other large cats, right? You know that a tiger walks on all fours. A tiger has incisors. They have 2 eyes. They have 2 ears. Now they don't have the bushy tail, but they have stripes. But it's getting down to the nitty gritty, right? How big is that head compared to the rest of the body? How big is the torso compared to the rest of the body? How long is the torso compared to the body? If you're comparing tigers to lions, how big is the lion compared to a tiger? What's their size, their weight wise? How different are the heads when it comes to these particular animals? So it's those nuances, so that understanding of those small things, and not only studying how they look as far as like the details, but being able to break it down in simple forms that you individually understand and can use to build upon to create the thing that you're looking to create. It's those things that are going to allow you to draw that subject matter from imagination, from different angles. Now, if it's a complicated angle, like maybe from a back view, like from a back 3/4 view, yeah, you might struggle a little bit, but you know the basic forms that will help you get closer to a convincing image. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be 100%, but it will give you a convincing image versus if you didn't know the basic forms to kind of help build that image. And like I said, if you're talking about a sea wasp, if you don't know what a sea wasp is, it looks like I think the closest thing I can pretty much describe it to would be like a jellyfish. I'm not even sure if it's in the same family or the same, I forgot how it goes with the breaking down of like the kingdoms and species and stuff like that. It's been a while since I've since I've had to deal with that in science, but I'm not sure if it's part of the same family, in the same animal family, kingdom, whatever, however they break that down. But it kind of reminds me of a jellyfish with different nuances and stuff like that. But now that you have an idea of what it looks like, you kind of have an idea of what it might look like, because if I'm saying it's similar to a jellyfish, then for the most part, most people have an idea of what a jellyfish looks like. Now, if you wanted to really get into what a sea wasp was, of course, you would need to go and actually look up photos and probably even read some information on what a sea wasp is, to kind of help and what differentiates a sea wasp from an actual jellyfish, and then being able to combine. If you've done the study of a sea wasp, and you know the basic forms that make up a sea wasp, and you know the basic forms that make up a lion, now you can really play and experiment with those forms to help create something new. And that's why I say I think building, drawing from imagination and visual library are literally two sides of the same coin, because being able to draw from imagination is taking stuff that you've learned, aka your visual library, and building on that, and or combining different things to create something new. But yeah, that's all I have for this one. I hope this was hope you guys understand a little bit of what I think of when it comes to imagination, and hopefully help you, give you some ideas on how to actually build your own visual library, which will hopefully in turn help you draw from imagination. At the end of the day, you can't draw something that you don't know. You can't draw, you can't draw Ickis from All Real Monsters if you don't know what Ickis looks like. You can't draw a, what was it called? Oh my gosh, it's like an hour. It's like an hourglass. I think it's, or you can't draw a death moth, if you don't know what a death moth looks like. It's a callback to Silence of the Lambs. I forget what the actual name of the moth is, but I think the nickname of it is called the death moth. You can't draw a pelican, for example, if you don't know what a pelican looks like. You can't draw a dung beetle if you don't know what a dung beetle looks like. So it takes you really taking, getting, whether it be images, videos, and stuff like that, studying that stuff, breaking it down, and even maybe researching the characteristics of those certain types of subject matters, because that's stuff that you can also incorporate into your designs in a way, shape, or form. So that's all I have. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.